Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first Wellness Wednesday. Now that my eyes are something resembling a human being, what is Wellness Wednesday? Wellness Wednesday is what it sounds like. Midweek, talking about things that help you live a happier, healthier, if you choose better life. I don't like to say better. I prefer to say more grounded, because better is up to you. A couple of caveats. I am not a doctor. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a psychotherapist. I am somebody who's just been through a lot of mud. And I'm going to tell you guys things that help me. The other caveat is that some things do require medical intervention. They need medication. If this is you, no amount of thinking around the problem will solve the problem. You need to balance your biochemistry, your brain chemistry. You can't do that through force of will. It doesn't have to be forever. It could be short term, but the sooner you get on that, the better. So caveats just for responsibility's sake. If you like this kind of content, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK. So figuring out where to begin on Wellness Wednesdays, you have to begin at the beginning. Yourself, right? Your sense of self, your basic, when you think of yourself, what picture do you get? And for a lot of people, they can't begin to build on that because they have, not completely formed, improperly formed, or really negative sense of self. And you've got to build up your sense of self before you can do anything else. There are a lot of people walking around questioning on a core level that you might not even be aware of whether in fact they exist or whether they deserve to exist. Now, the answer to both questions is yes. You do exist. Yes, you deserve to exist. Now, the question is, why do some people feel like they don't? Well, every case is different, but broad strokes, at some point, when you were growing up, because no kids watch this YouTube channel, it's marked not for kids. When you were growing up, somebody gave you negative messaging. Somebody made you feel worthless, likely as an extension of their own self-talk, because hurt people, hurt people. It's just a cycle of when you abuse yourself, you tend to abuse other people. And so this leads people to this ritual of believing that in order to be accountable, in order to be a good person, they have to constantly beat themselves up and focus on their shortcomings, their faults, and their failings. That's not so. That's bad code. Because if you only focus on your shortcomings, if you only focus on your failings, that's what you become. No human being is perfect, and you need to use your strengths. You need to use the things you're good at to know where to go towards while you're trying to improve the parts of yourself that need work. And let me tell you, it's much easier to improve the stuff you don't like about yourself when overall, broad strokes, big picture, in general, you like yourself. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. Unless you're coming from a stable foundation, you can't improve because every time you try to step forward, you fall into a pit. So I'm going to give you a really basic exercise, and I'm warning you, it's going to sound stupid at first. It's going to seem really pathetic because all that negative self-talk is coming at you. But anybody who does code knows that you don't replace bad code with no code. You don't keep just telling the bad code it's bad code. You have to replace the bad code with good code, or at least better code. And then you squash the 5 bugs that came out of the 1 bug you fixed. That's how code works. That's how people work. Now, thing about people is you don't just write it once, rewrite, and it's done. Humans recode by repetition. You got repetitive messages during your formative years. That's what stuck these thoughts in your head. So you're going to need repetitive messages in your adult years to rewrite the code there. That's how it works. It's just multiple passes, right? Now, the thing is, by this point, now in some cases, you're still getting the negative thoughts. And that's very difficult. This is something I was told when I was in university, that while you're still in it, it's active trauma. It's not PTSD. It's a different thing. It's almost impossible when you are in a situation where you are getting active negatives to feel good about yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you can't feel better about yourself. You can cancel out the negatives with positives. And it helps to sort of have a buddy to do that with, someone you can talk to and trust and say, you know, this is what my stepdad, my mom, my aunt, my grandmother, grandfather, whatever, this is what they said to me. It's, you know, hitting a button, it's ringing some bell inside me, and the other person can go like, well, here's another perspective here. Here's all the things you can do. Here's all the reasons they're wrong, or they may be, you know, only giving you part of a picture. Anybody that tells you're worthless is wrong, period, end of story. But something I found really helped me is a writing exercise, because I didn't have anybody like that. When I first started on this journey, almost everyone around, well, pretty much everyone around me thought they were helping me by correcting me. That doesn't help someone. An accountable person knows, for the most part, what they're not good at. They don't need to be constantly reminded of stuff they're struggling with. If someone is way off the chain, if someone is engaging in self-destructive behavior, that's different. But the average person trying to get by, trust me, is acutely aware of their shortcomings. People who aren't are narcissists, okay? And that's a much bigger problem. So stop the negative talk towards others, one, but sometimes you gotta train yourself to think good things about yourself before you can do that. And the way I find helped is get a little notebook, put it next to your bed, because trust me, if it's not next to your bed, you're gonna forget. It's also, I found it was a good way to close out the day. But you're busy, you lie down, you're about to go to sleep, and it's like, I forgot. You don't want this to become another thing you're kicking yourself for. So this is an exercise, not a requirement. Write down 3 things you accomplished, 3 things you're proud you did, even if it's just a little bit. And the reason we use the word proud is not to seem like a good enough, I'm smart enough, gosh darn it, people like me kind of thing. It's to try to train your brain to feel good about even the smallest achievements. Because one of the pillars of overcoming trauma is figuring out what you can control and focus on that. And sometimes all you can control is that you got out of bed, even though you didn't want to. You brushed your teeth, even though you didn't feel like it. You got dressed, even though you didn't feel like it. When you're very depressed, all those things are accomplishments. You know why? Because you didn't do them the day before. And that doesn't mean if you spend one day like binging on PlayStation in your pajamas, it doesn't mean, especially during COVID, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. I mean that is something you feel like, you know, you're knocked flat, that's all you can do, as opposed to it being a choice to be lazy for a day, right? So even if that's it, you know, you checked in with someone when you wanted to withdraw from the world, small things like that. It will at first feel silly. It will at first feel, oh, this is all I do. By the way, this is from a book called Reviving Ophelia, Saving the Selves of Adolescent Girls by Mary Pipher. This is her recommendation. I'm going to add the Leanna twist to make you feel a little less pathetic at first. Because I found this really helped me. Because I admit, when I first started doing it, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, this is stupid. Why am I writing that I got dressed? Ugh. Kicking yourself, right? Bad code. What I found helped better was either doing this all at once or doing the planning in the morning, the goal setting in the morning, and the checklist at night. But you set goals for yourself for the next day. I am going to get up. I am going to brush my teeth. I am going to put on pants that aren't pajama pants. Anything you want. I'm going to take my dog for a walk. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat healthy food instead of crap. Stuff like that. Set that goal. And then the next day, complete that goal. 3 things. They don't have to be big, right? Better if they're small at first, because the point is, do the goal, set the goal, complete the goal. And if you don't complete the goal, write down something else. It's very important to do the 3 things you accomplish that day, no matter how small. But I found it better to just see that, oh, I said I was going to do something, and then I did it. The other thing this exercise does is it gets you used to, if it's 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3, it stops you from beating yourself up because you didn't get it perfect. We're all intellectuals, right? Part of our identity was getting a perfect test score or getting a near perfect test score in school. That was pretty much the only thing growing up that gave a lot of us any sense of worth. It was measurable. Well, everybody was telling you were, weird, fat, ugly, annoying, enough about me growing up. You could never do anything right. That perfect math test, right? Something tangible and quantifiable, that was a lifeline. And when you get into university and you get into those stupid projects and stuff like that, you don't have that very clear and present affirmation. It becomes very much the opinion of someone with biases, and the whole world starts to become very shifty. So creating these creating these goals for yourself gives you a feedback system to show, look, I set goals, I completed goals. This is how you start building an independent sense of self that wasn't given to you by your parents, by, your boss. You're deciding who you want to be, and you're going out and doing that in little incremental steps. It's the same way that beating a level in a video game gives you a little boost. Think of this as designing your own levels for your daily video game and completing those levels based on the rules you set. Because you get to set the rules for you. Nobody else does. And people don't have to agree with the rules you set for you, but they do have to respect them. And I will talk about that in future videos. But for now, I just want you guys to, and I do this when I get down too. I do little simple goal setting. Like, I am going to do one thing today. I'm going to vacuum the nastiness under the kitchen table, right? Or I'm going to finally declutter and not a whole room. One bin in the room. Achievable goals. The name of this game is Achievable Goals. Something that only takes about, it's the same idea as the Jordan Peterson clean your room for 30 minutes a day, but something that instead of him telling you what the goal is, you set the goal for yourself, which is further along in individualization and actualization. Yes, that's what that Jordan Peterson thing is, clinically designed to do. But cleaning your room doesn't work for everybody. And this is where a lot of this sort of advice fails. As long as you are following someone else's rules for life, you're not setting your own rules for life. meaning you are still giving other people power over your sense of self. The goal here is to set your sense of self for you. So even when somebody tells you you're a complete piece of garbage, you're all this, whatever thing they want to lay on you, usually it's not true, but it stings anyway because it's the thing that people who want to, deflect responsibility from themselves have been telling you and everybody else your entire life. You are taking control of the standard you set for yourself because you are an individual with worth. And the only thing someone else can offer you about you is their opinion. They only get their opinion. They don't get the truth of who you are. Nobody knows that for you but you. And that is something I think is really lacking. All these performance tests and, employee analysis and all this garbage. Like, no, people have lost sense of their inner voice. That inner voice that tells you when something is wrong and you don't deserve to be treated this way. Some people have never had that inner voice. That's what child abuse does. When you were abused as a kid or profoundly bullied as a kid, you never form that voice that says, I don't like this, I don't deserve this, I have the right to get it to stop. And so what we're going to do early on in these videos is work on that inner voice, developing that inner voice, establishing that inner voice, because that is good code. It's better to feel like something's not right and have to deal with that than to feel that weird sort of numbness that profound abuse leaves you with. And it'll be hard to feel at first, but we'll deal with that in subsequent videos. Okay? Let me know, guys, if you tried this, if you want to use the comment section to start your first, I'm proud I did this, do it. I want to see what you guys come up with for this. So, and maybe you posting what you're proud of will inspire somebody else to go, hey, that's worth being proud of. Okay, I can do that too. Like for me, every time I clean up cat puke, I'm proud because it makes me vomit, but I do it anyway. And it's like, hey, I did a hard thing. Go me. That was selfless. There you go. That's an example. You're like, ew, I don't want to think about cat puke. That's why I'm proud. It was gross. Okay, everybody, help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. See you on Feedback Friday. Thanks for watching.